Okay, so I'm going to go over the fifth math lab, random numbers. And so if you look at this, the variables are already created. Actually, let me go back up here. You're supposed to make it produce 10 random numbers that are in the range from 3 to 9, including 9. Okay, and so when you run it, you get a random number 3 to 9 every time you run it. Now, you already have variables created, all type int. And let me leave here for a second and say, really, what you want to do is we're going to end up basically typing this formula into Java and letting the formula do the work. Now, one big idea you need to get is when you're trying to use a formula in your program is, what variable names are you going to use in place of the items in the formula? So like, we can't have max space number be a variable name, and it's not. It's actually high in our program, and min was low in our program, and so you need to translate it. So for instance here, it says set data. Well, the high and low are 3 and 9. So we want the smallest number to be 3. So store 3 there and store 9 there. Fine. And then how do you calculate the range? Well, we said it's the max minus the min plus 1. And once again, I'm getting that directly from the formula you're supposed to know. Here's the overall formula, but here's the formula for the range. Well, like I said, my variables aren't called max and min, they're called high and low. So high minus low plus 1. And then down here, you're going to get it to print a random number, and really you just do that formula. So we want integers, so we need the typecast. We always open parentheses, then do math.random, and then parentheses, those parentheses are part of the random name, and then times the range, which actually we call the variable range, and then close parentheses. And let me go back to my formula just to show you again. So I'm typing this in, and all I've got left to do is the plus min, except for, once again, the minimum is not called that, it's called low. And then one thing you might do, by the way, is like we had the parentheses here, of course, are for the print statement. You might put a space on either end just to really make it so you can see what's inside the print statement. Now, let me run this thing. Actually, let me compile first. No, it can't find out. And once again, you can either put the import statement up here, and I'll show it just to demonstrate, or you could have just typed system.out everywhere. So once again, it's a special import. You do import static Java .lang .system and then .asterisk to import all the members of the system class. All right, let's try again and see if it compiles. Okay, it compiles. Let me run it. Now that's odd. I ran it, but none of this code actually did anything. Nothing ran. Why? Because, well, Java always starts by running what's in the main method, and my main method says to do nothing. And so that's the big thing that people need to get is basically how to set up the main method. Basically, we need to make an object, and what kind of object should we make? Well, a problem 8 object, and because that's the name of our class, and problem 08 technically, and call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it prob, and now that just makes a problem 8 variable. I haven't made the object yet. To do that, I say new problem 8. You call the constructor, and of course you have to have parentheses at the end. Just like here, if I want to call the printline method, I've got to have parentheses at the end. If I want to call the process method, I have to have parentheses at the end. If I want to call a constructor to make an object, I have to have parentheses at the end. And sometimes we have something in the parentheses, but sometimes it's just the parentheses. Now that I've created my problem 8 object, now I can call these methods. And which methods do I call? Well, all 3 of these. And in the they're in here in the order I'd want to call them. Technically, by the way, a class is just a list of methods, and the order the methods are created in the class is irrelevant. But they are listed there in the same order I want to call them. So I just do prob dot set data, prob dot process, and let me fix that. One thing I want to point out is it's called set data, not input, because we're not getting input from the user. And then this assignment statement is in a different method than the set data, because here we're just setting actual numbers, but here we were calculating something. And so as you do in the labs, realize that If it's called process, you're going to put a formula there. And so some people probably just put a 7 here. That was not the intent. The expectation was that you put a formula. And the nice thing about that is now, and when you change the numbers, you don't have to figure that out. Java will calculate the range for you automatically. Now, if I run it now, I'm still not going to see any output because I haven't called the output method. So that's the last thing. Prob.output. And if I run, voila, and I can just run it again. We'll talk about loops later. So if you wanted to make it do a bunch of random numbers, hold on, I think I just clicked the wrong button. There's new random number between 3 and 9. But like I said, we'll learn about loops later. For now, you just have to click run every time you want to get a new random number.